damn, this sun is banging. What is up, everybody? Lyle No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. Just seeing if this thing is uploading to YouTube. Shoot, it's tripping. All right, there we go. Give me just a second. All right. And I do not know what is wrong with this damn thing. Hold on. Truck Trader Sam, what's up? 313, what's going on? Anakin Moon, what's up? Tim Travels, boy, let me tell you. I've been doing a nice little exchange of, time in lieu of money. So last video, I was out in like that Bowling Green area, Kentucky. Carried this trailer from Pennsylvania down to Scottsville, Kentucky with a trailer leak that, whatever. Wanted to get that stuff worked on, unloaded my trailer, looked in the back of it, and it was just a mess back there. So I didn't know the inside of the trailer was that jacked up until I went to the Petro in Glendale. Found out I needed some more work done to it. Went to talk to the shop, the Petro shop, and they said they couldn't do it. So I tell my road assist. Now the guy's a good guy, don't get me wrong, but Petro had already told me they couldn't do it, and he's straight up telling me they can do it. And I was like, I'm here talking to these motherfuckers. I think I know, So it says go to Love's. So I go to Love's, boom. Love's say they can't do all the work to it. So then Love's is like, hey, why don't you take it to this Smith's Cove or someplace nearby? Take it to this place. All they do is work on trailers. Went there. And they're like, nah, bro. We can't do that. So at this point, I'm like done. I'm done driving around. I'm done doing all that stuff. So I get with my fleet manager and I say, hey, Manuka's like, 375 miles away. I'm not driving around God's green earth trying to find a place to fix this shit. I'll just take it up there. Just go ahead and hook a brother up with a little bit of dough to ease the pain. So got paid shuttle pay to take this trailer up to Manuka. I wasn't going to do anything crazy like drive straight to Manuka, right? I drove to the Loves in Morris, Illinois, got some of that good-ass naff up in there, stayed the night, woke up again the next day without any alarm clock, none of that stuff. Went, got the trailer washed, dropped it off there. They got 78 trailers at that place, Manuka Yard, and not one of them they could give away. So I had a load that's picking up out here in Plymouth, Wisconsin. By the way, if you're ever up in the Plymouth, Wisconsin area, maybe picking up at Sargento Cheese, this BP truck stop is paid parking, $10 to pay, or buy $25 worth of shit, right? Nice, massive parking lot over here. Relatively clean. Blacktop, all that. Anyway, bought $25 worth of shit. So this is a good place. good stuff inside too. So if you're in the area, check it out. It's on, I think we're on 57. Well, hell, what are we on out here? I forgot what highway we're on. 57. Yeah, so we're out here. But I had to go pick up an empty trailer at Rochelle on my way out here. I went and looked in that trailer, and that was a mess because they gave me a specific trailer number, and I was just like, you know what? I can't get that trailer. They're too close to each other. Here's the trailer I could work with. So boom, picked up that trailer, got on my way. So that is what's up. So I pick up this load tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock. It could be better if it was like 8 o'clock. Then I wouldn't have to set no alarm again. I probably don't have to set an alarm for 6 o'clock, but you know, I'm a little paranoid about being on time. 6 miles away. Sargento, you ever been there? They load out quick too. Last time I went there was a skating rink last winter. So I'm assuming I'm not gonna have to deal with that. But going down to Florida. Now, those of you guys that know me know that I don't see the money on the loads until they actually get dispatched. So I've never, ever made a determination on a load based on money. It all seems to work out, right? I've used money as a another reason not to take a load, but that's never been the main reason why I've turned down a load. But once I saw that load going down to Florida, I didn't care what that load paid. I've been in cold weather so goddamn long. I really don't like going to Florida either. At least it's Lakeland. But I was happy to see that load going down to Florida. So that's what I'm doing. Picking up tomorrow at 6 o'clock, going down to Lakeland, Florida. Trucker Q, yo, what's up, Lyle? I just got to the house for Valentine's Day. I'm waiting on my wife to pick me up, just chilling and eating some Chinese food. Just got done talking to my wife. I was actually home last Valentine's. You know, back in the day when we were little, we called it Valentine's Day. Last Valentine's Day, I took her out to a nice little Greek restaurant. It's called Olive Branch. And did that. All right. But like I said, hey, I'm exchanging time for money. I'm not worried. I'm glad anytime I get a chance to relax. You know what I mean? And the way I look at things is the way I start my run off when I come out of the house is the way it ends. If I didn't have to be out for a certain amount of time, if I didn't have some stuff I needed to do, I probably would have turned right back around in 2 weeks and just went back home, because it's been that kind of a run. You know, I go up to Maine, get stuck in weather, get another load going down to Mississippi back when all that stuff was going on. So I got held up. At least I wasn't on the highway. Got held up out there. I picked up a trailer that blew a tire outside of Kansas City in a construction zone. So I'm driving 3 miles on that. I pick up another trailer, which is this piece of shit I picked up the other day, dropped off. I've been in cold weather up until like 3 days ago. I hadn't seen anything above 32 degrees in like weeks. So it just hasn't been that good of a run out. Now, like I said, I have personal reasons, which aren't necessarily my personal reasons. If you got kids, you understand what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking about kids. I'm talking about, well, grown-ass adults. So sometimes you want to do for them things that you may not have done for yourself. So I wanted to run up on a little bit of extra money. I didn't need a whole bunch of it, because anything I make during winter is kind of extra. Because if it was within Prime's little rules or whatever, I would have went home at the beginning of winter, and I wouldn't have came back out until maybe March 1st. So this is kind of all extra a little bit, but you think little kids cost you money? Wait till them motherfuckers get a little older. All right, anyway, let's get back to this. Anakin Moon out in Portland. Woo! Not a fan of Portland. Although I did go out there, drove around, delivered a couple loads, and I was like, you know what? Some people don't like it and shit. I could live in that area myself. Breaking Bad or Game of Thrones? I have never seen Game of Thrones. I saw a little bit of it. Those of you guys that watch Netflix, one of my boys is on Netflix. His name is Thyron Matthews. He's on the barbecue channel on Netflix. I watched that shit at his house, and that was like horrible. So I'm going to say Breaking Bad, but I'm going to take The Wire over both of them. And I'll take The Wire over Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, and Sopranos. Go check it out. Decently warm here in Clearwater. Man, just a little bit of warmth. I'm going to be so happy to get in some consistent warmth. So anyway, that's all. I hear that the driver advisory board is meeting up here at the Prime Terminal here in a few days, and I'm going to talk about the driver advisory board here in one of my next videos. Did anyone see Kiersey's video about the LED strips on the Prime trucks? Those things are so stupid. I'm actually for that. If there's one thing I hate, it's all them little eyeballs and all that shit on the trucks. I'm for that right there. If they actually did it, I'm for that. But back to my last point. The driver advisory board is supposed to be meeting, and I was watching the safety meeting, and they were talking. Rob Lowe was up there saying, they're not afraid to tell me like it is and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you just don't know. Half the stuff the driver advisory board is talking about is shit that is like us snitching on ourselves. That's not the point of the driver advisory board. I could think of a bunch of different things that I would bring up in the driver advisory board, and none of them is driving over landscape at Prime Inc. That's not a driver advisory board. That's not a driver advisory board issue. What is a driver advisory board issue is waiting on hold. I don't even wait anymore. I just get on the road, waiting for all these live load calls, and why are we talking about driver health and fitness and a salad at the terminal costs $45? And, there's a ton of other stuff we could bring up before we start snitching on ourselves. So anyway, I'm going to do a video about that. I'm going to go back because they used to post what they talked about in the driver advisory board meetings. You can't see that anymore. But I do have access to some of the previous driver advisory board minutes. So we're going to go through what they have spoke about and what got accomplished, what hasn't, what got accomplished for a little bit, and what went back to what it was. So we're going to be going through all that. I might do that when I'm at home so I could have a bigger screen to kind of look at and everything. Yeah, I'm not sure I could do the driver advisory board thing. I mean, I'd like to be a fly on the wall in there. So those of you guys didn't see my last video, I'm scheduled to go home on the 24th or so. So I will be happy I'll probably be home for 21 to 25 days, somewhere in that neighborhood. This is such a nice truck stop. I'm glad I stopped here. Like, I almost didn't stop here, but I looked at the reviews on Trucker Path, and they were like 3.6. And the only reason that it got dropped that low was because you had to pay. You either had to pay $10, buy $25 worth of stuff in the store, or get some fuel. And it wasn't even, you didn't even have to get a whole bunch of fuel. And my thing is, why would you feel that a truck stop would want you to park at where, like, major places are different? Now, I will say that at this point, if I park at Pilot Flying J, I kind of feel like since I'm not fueling there, then it's kind of the same thing. But enough people, Prime or truckers in general, get enough fuel at TA Petro, Pilot, Loves, to where they shouldn't even have those same things. But a small place like this, anytime I pull into a place that's like this, I will always go in and patronize a place, regardless of if I need anything or not. So I don't know why everybody was getting upset about. Well, let's see what they said. Let's go over some of these reviews, because this sounds like a bunch of bitches to me, is really what it sounds like. Paid parking only equals legalized extortion. What, it's a joke to make drivers that bust our ass for this country to pay for a safe place to park. I will never use this establishment again. It's $25, motherfucker. Like, you can stumble over $25 worth of shit to buy. Charge for parking. They don't need my business. As long as we don't get taken advantage of on the road, charge us to park is ridiculous. Like I said, if you're the big three or whatever, I can understand this. I can understand somebody saying that about a TA or Petro because there's a ton of fuel getting bought there, but not a lot of people are buying fucking fuel here. Every other like review is good, other than the people talking about paying for parking. So anyway, that's kind of that. If $10 is gonna hurt you, you have other problems to worry about. Absolutely. And like I said, it's $25. So, you know, what is $25? I think I got like a couple bottles of water, 2 Cokes. I probably wouldn't have got these. These things look hella good. This is like pizza crust sticks with jalapenos and cheese in between them. I don't know. Whatever I got was $25. I forgot what else I got, but I am all for supporting these small people that don't have to, like, they really don't need to provide parking at all. All right, about to go in a few days. Hey, John, my advice is this. Now, you know what? I can't give anybody advice when it comes to, because I look at this a little bit different. So you can kind of, my advice is, the advice that I feel comfortable giving is to put it this way. I don't worry about shit that I can't control. I'm not really out here trying to run around tolls and, you know, somebody asked me what my fuel cost was a week. You know what? I buy the cheapest fuel I could buy, unless it's at a Pilot Flying J lately. I will pay more elsewhere, but it is kind of what it is. And I guess the advice I would give is to be efficient in what you do. Run your clock efficiently, all that shit, and you'll be good to go. I don't. That kind of caught me off guard. There's a bunch of stuff I can come up with, but the way I look at it is this: I know a lot of people. I talk to them friends of mine. Some of them aren't. They're just people I know of in Facebook or whatever. I will never, ever, ever choose loads strictly on money. Never going to happen. What I will do is I'll turn down, first of all, I will turn down a load every now and then, just to turn down a load every now and then. Because you got to let them know you'll turn down some shit every now and then, just so they don't have that one bullshit load that they know they could drop on you and you take it. So you got to do that. But other than that, I avoid places that I don't want to go. That doesn't mean I won't go there, but that means that it's going to be the exception more than the rule. And I don't really turn down that many loads either, because I always communicate with my fleet manager directly and indirectly. So starting 3 years ago, or not 3 years ago, close to 6 years ago, damn, I took my fleet manager out to lunch and I was like, hey, what's up? You know, here's what I like doing. Here's what I don't like doing. You know, I really don't like fucking with the Northeast, you know, whatever. And, you know, somebody asked a question and I asked him this question. Do you guys take retribution on drivers that turn down loads? And he said, you know what, it would take me more time to retaliate against you than it would be to just find another load. So no. So, but then he was like, you know what? And I told him I will never turn down a load because of money. But you know what? Money's never been an issue for me. But he said, you know what? We got a deal, but here's what's up. If I have a load that's paying all the money going to the Northeast, you're gonna have to turn it down, because I can't bring myself to take that load off you. And I was like, you know what? Fair. And I probably only turned down. I say all this shit, and I say it even though I probably have only turned down within the last year. I probably only turned down maybe three loads. And it's because I laid the groundwork a while ago. If he sends me a bullshit load going to a bullshit place, if I take it, I tell him, man, I'm not excited about this load, you know, going to the Northeast, but you know I got your back. So he knows. Reinforcing, oh, he doesn't like going to the Northeast. Or if I get a good load going somewhere, hey, appreciate that load going up to Wisconsin. You know I like running this little triangle right here. So I'm trying to say shit without saying it directly. And what it does is it keeps me somewhat fresh out here. If I was fucking around with the Northeast all the time, there is no way I could stay out here a month, 5 weeks, 3 weeks, because it wears me down mentally. So my thing is figure out what it is you like and stick to it. You have too many of these motherfuckers at Prime that want everything their way every single time. And then their bark is worse than their bite. My fleet manager knows if I'm calling him or I get up on something, it's something serious. It's not this little bullshit that I hear people, I fired my fleet manager, or I did this, or we had this conversation. No, fuck that. If I raise up and talk, people are going to listen, because I don't do it over little shit. So if you say that it's all about the money, then it has to be all about the money. You know, you can't be all about the money now, and then all of a sudden you get some other load going somewhere, and now you're changing up the rules. Be consistent. A little bit of a rant right there, but I see this shit too often. And if you can put yourself in a position, I mean, it's very evident to my fleet manager because he sees it. But if he knows you ain't stressing out about money, you know, it changes the entire dynamic. You know what I mean? Like you hear people that say, you know, on a Saturday, well, if you turn down this load, probably won't get loaded out till Monday. What I say when it's been a long time since somebody said it, and it wasn't my fleet manager, it was a weekend guy. So he's like, I turned down a load. I forgot where it was going. This is like 3 or 4 years ago. I forget, but he's like, well, there's not that many loads out there. You probably won't get loaded out till Monday. I was like, as a matter of fact, why don't we go ahead and make that Tuesday so I have enough, so I have a good time to relax or whatever. And then next thing you know, boom, a load coming in. All right, my fleet manager punching the air right now, but I can keep making that Taco Bell money. Oh, I can't keep making that Taco Bell money. Save your money. That is definitely a good. Now I'm about to move my money out of this emergency fund. I like keeping it there just so they know that I'm not worried about the money, but I'm about to move some of that money out of there because there was enough money sitting in there where they knew that I wasn't going to be stressed out about no money. What's your take on the Western 11? I'm headed back to Salt Lake City to get with Arturo just to be closer to home. Man, that's too much snow in the wintertime for me. I could not mess with Western 11 personally. And I don't like going up there anyway, even in the summertime. I don't like going to Portland, Seattle, none of that stuff up there. And that's one of the reasons I don't like training is every time I'm training, I'm always in the northwest and I'm always in the northeast. Last time, luckily, I was doing a bunch of them high-value Indiana, Ohio loads, but yeah, I can't do the Northwest. But my thing is this, having a good, they say it in the meeting, but in the meetings, I think they talk out of both sides of their neck because they say, have a good, so they'll say some shit like this, have a good relationship with your fleet manager, but then they'll turn around and say, well, it doesn't matter. I forget how they put it, but they turn around and contradict everything they just said. Like, what will they say? Have a good relationship with your fleet manager, but then they'll say something that totally contradicts that, like your relationship doesn't matter. And I'm going to say that it does make a difference. So I'm going to say this. And I would rather be known and disliked by a fleet manager than unknown at all to a fleet manager. It's best to be liked and known, but back in my former life, when I was doing mortgages, I was a manager, and every now and then you get this bullshit loan, and the loan would pay, but it's a lot of fucking work. And you got like 17 loan officers you could give it to. Well, you can't give it to all 17 because some of them got enough business as it is. So let's say you're narrowed down to 4 loan officers you could give this loan to. Well, 2 of the loan officers, that they've turned down shit like this before. The other 2 have always said yeah. So the bullshit's going to be the path of least resistance. I don't want to be spending 5 hours trying to give this loan away. Let me give it to somebody I know is going to take it. I think sometimes it's the same thing in this business. They have a load. It's a bullshit load. They got 3 trucks in the area. They got a driver they can't stand. They got a driver they don't know. And they got me. Maybe he likes me a little bit. Boom, I might get, or I may not get that bullshit load. And it might be a toss-up between those 2. And it's probably going to go to the unknown guy, it's probably going to go to the asshole that he doesn't like because he knows that guy will turn down the load. So I always say you got to turn down some shit every now and then just to let them know you'll turn down some shit. But it comes to, advice about going company or lease, run the shit the same way. I mean, I personally run a little bit different. I've talked to people that are successful running how I run and not running how I run. I talked to one of my friends and he's always lives by that, 8.5 hour, 9 hour deal. I will run out a load as long as I have hours or parking. So John, when them snowstorms hit, I was too stupid. I was so dumb because I knew it had snowed in Mississippi, but I figured within a week, 5 days, that shit was gonna be gone. So I accepted that load. I didn't even really look out that far yet. You know what I mean? So I get the load, run it out, and I park up at this TA, and I'm looking, and all these highways are closed down out there and all this shit. And had I not stopped and actually looked at that, I would have been right there with them people sitting there in line for, a day or 2 days or however long they were. So I would have turned that down. John was in that minus 30 degrees in Minnesota. The coldest I've been out here is minus 35 degrees in Butte, Montana. Probably I had my first Peterbilt, so it was my regular lease Peterbilt. And I just remember feeling guilty that I was even logging a pre-trip because my ass didn't open the fucking door. It was going to be what it was. I was not stepping out no minus 30 degree weather. And then my fuel gelled up on me. Not my fuel tanks, but the little thing that decides what tank is going to draw the fuel from, that froze up. And I stalled out one time. Not because my fuel gel, but that little line that gets kind of small between the two. That's when I decided I'm going to be over prepared when I come out here. And that was a few years ago. So now I got the shovels. I got the ice mill. I'll tell you something else. I got all the anti-gel, all that stuff. Alcohol for my airlines, all that. But when I gelled up that day, that was the first day I realized you could really never put too much 911 or anti-gel in your tanks. So when the road guy came out to get me, one of my tanks had already ran all the way out. So it might have had a quarter of a tank, not even a quarter, maybe an eighth of a tank. So he put half a bottle of 911 in there, and then he put a half a bottle of anti-gel in there. On the tank that was full, that it wasn't drawn from, he put 2 bottles of 911 in there and like 3 bottles of anti-gel in there. So once I saw that and I realized nothing was really messed up with my truck, I was like, you know what? I am always over treating my shit regardless. I'm not getting stuck like this again. So you got that Arizona, can't go wrong with that. And I mix it with, I think I've already, some straight up lemon juice. So I make kind of like Arnold Palmer out of that shit. Always parking in the West. Man, I think if you run out in any area long enough, you're going to get used to finding parking. I just never felt comfortable out in the West. I mean, I did it a lot, but just never felt comfortable with it. Another thing, if there's any new people up there, hey, Ed, what's going on? Ed has found a new... Ed eats the most basic shit that I've ever seen anybody in my life eat. If that motherfucker has any seasoning in it, he's done. So he's expanding his horizon a little bit. He's, making, he made a little casserole yesterday. He's on home time. And then he's making some buttermilk fried chicken, coming up. But anyway, that's Ed right there. He's on home time for the next few weeks or couple weeks or whatever. But let's talk about this new new people stuff that are just upgrading and all this stuff. I, there was somebody that was in one of these prime groups, and he was talking about how he was getting all these long loads and all this kind of stuff, like, California to Memphis or, whatever. And I'm just going to tell you, I don't know if this is like the way it is. It seems like the more experience you have, the less long loads you get. I think a long load, if you're new and you're getting long loads, it's sort of like putting a baby in front of a TV. It's like you're getting babysat by the miles. You really can't fuck up that much. You don't got to worry about your clock. As long as you run consistent, you're going to get it there. Once you've been driving a while and they trust you, that's when you're starting to get them 500, 300, loads where you got to split your clock, do all this kind of stuff. Because I was kind of thinking the same thing when I was brand new. I was getting loads from like California to, Texas, and I think I got put on a Seattle to Florida. I was getting all these long loads, and it wasn't until I had a little bit of experience that I realized that's what they're doing. They're babysitting my ass. So, all right, John, my PSD trainer saved my ass when I was up there and put me on to anti-gel, something I wish they taught us about in school orientation. Yeah. Get you some alcohol, man. I don't think enough people carry that alcohol. I love the long loads. Hey, trust me. Hey, I'm all about the long loads right now because I haven't seen one since I came off of home time, Colorado to Maine. That was a good run. Get some good sleep, all that kind of stuff. These short loads will kick your ass, but I'm just telling you why they give you those loads. If they're consistent. But anyway, back to get you some alcohol, man. Alcohol, 12 months a year, alcohol that comes in handy. New people, get you some alcohol. 90% alcohol if you can find it. Other than that, 70, 80, whatever you can get. In the summertime, you can use it. These meat plants, it should be criminal. It should be criminal how filthy some of these meat plants are with all this meat juice soaking all into the ground and us bringing salmonella and E. coli and all that bullshit into our truck. Get you a spray bottle, spray down your shoes, spray down the floors, get it on your hands. Boom. It does great on like cleaning up your dash or anything like that. If you really want to strip some stuff down. But hey, I talk to a lot of people, and maybe not on these videos. I don't know if I have them in these live, but my email address is right down in the comments section or in the description or whatever in most of these videos. Call a motherfucker. I have conversations with people all the time about some people I talk to a couple different times. That's about it. Some people I talk to once. Some people, Ed being one of them that happens to be in here. We talk quite a bit. The more people you talk to, the easier your life is. It could be, does this place have overnight parking? Where do you park here? Like, for example, if I wasn't the kind guy I was and I had to go get a trailer and I was going to be that guy and somebody called me, I say, you know what? It's not the right thing to do, but if you need to get rid of a trailer, I know I can get rid of one and get one. So you learn a lot of different tricks, where to park, what shippers have overnight parking that's not listed, places that, different procedures. Somebody just told me something that saved me. Obviously, I'm at the point where I'm giving more than I'm receiving, but I still get a lot of people telling me different shit. Like, oh, yeah, I don't know if my boy Craig is going to be watching this. If you're driving through if you need to park in Louisville, Kentucky, and you can't get, because Louisville, Kentucky's kind of fucked up. You got to be so far out in either direction to find a good place to park. Well, he was like, hey, if you need a place to park, boom, go here. You know, got another one of my boys, Don. Same thing, Columbus, Ohio. If you need a place to park, boom, go here. So the more people you surround yourself with that aren't bitching about all the shit, the better your life's gonna be. I'm telling you. That's some good advice right there. Because I don't have the answers to everything, and the information I get from other people is what really makes life easier on the road. Or even YouTube. I was doing the video talking about having to go to New Albany, Mississippi, and I was saying I might think about taking this route, but I'm really not. I'm really concerned about taking this route because it's a state route. There was a guy on this channel. I keep wanting to thank him for it. I don't think he's in here. I forgot his name, but he's the one that made me reevaluate taking that other state route, which is what I took. I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have a YouTube channel and somebody telling me, you know what, I would have taken that route. So surround yourself with a bunch of people. Bounce things off of. It could be routes. I've told people, you know what, I know you're in Indianapolis and the route says take I-70 all the way across. No, fuck that. Get on 74, take 74 to 72 to 36, ride that all the way into Denver. Easy run. Or here's a good one. If you're ever in west of Chicago, so let's say Manuka, Morris, Illinois, all that kind of stuff, and you're going down towards Indianapolis and all that, fuck getting on all that shit down in Gary, Indiana. Take 47 straight down. 47 will take you down to 74, 74 to Indianapolis. No traffic, none of that. Just took that yesterday. So there's a lot of people that I know that I've given routes to that have thanked me later. Going into Utah is another one. Instead of taking 80 all the way into Utah, 80 to 84 to 215 to 15, boom. Hillbilly John, what up? Just out here chilling, you know. I was going to come back here and lay down. And I figured that I would kind of tell people what happened with this trailer situation that I had yesterday. What am I hauling? Let me say some truck driver shit right here. It sounds stupid as fuck. I'm hauling dispatcher brains or sailboat fuel. I'm empty right now. I'm picking up tomorrow in Plymouth, Wisconsin, 6 miles from here. I got rid of my bullshit trailer. I went to 3 places yesterday. Or not, I went to 2 yesterday, 1 the day before that. None of them could fix my trailer, so I told them I'm driving this shit to Manuka. Pay me. So they paid me the little shuttle fee, which is fine. Got this load picking up in Wisconsin, going to Lakeland, Florida. Trucker Q, that's some. I'd never say no shit like that, but you talk to all these old truck drivers, they'll say some shit like that. But hey, if anybody that's new coming into this, if you're gonna really ask me what my, now that I've had a chance to let it swirl around a little bit, don't do what puts you in a stressful position. Because the more stress you're under, the less efficient you're going to be at your job, and the longer this timeout's going to feel. So when I say that, if there's a place that you don't want to go, if it's on your do not return list, my boy Craig, he has like the Greeley JBS on his do not return list. I got like the MD MDC Landover, Maryland on my do not. I mean, that's one of my places. If you don't like it, stop going there. Because when things become a chore out here, it makes life a whole lot harder, and it makes your runs a lot longer, especially if you're one of those people that really stays out a long time. If you're staying out over 5-6 weeks, you need to minimize your stress. So that means, forget going where you don't want to go. And unless you're that hard charger, I hear people at Prime. I've been at Prime for 25 years and I never turned down a load. Now, to me, that's crazy. I mean, if you're taking, either you're lying or you have a little bit more, I don't know. There's got to be a load in 25 years that you didn't like enough to turn down. So I say minimize your stress. Exit. And this is hard for me now. The longer I stay out here, the more shit stresses me out. Not stress me out. I just don't like driving trucks anyway. So as soon as things start getting a little fucked up, like the weather's kind of been kicking me in the nuts, and then if I add like going to bad shippers and receivers on top of that, as a matter of fact, let me show you a place I went to the other day. Jesus Christ. Now, it's not impossible. Look at this shit right here. So right in front of me here, this is a dead end street. If employees weren't parked here, that would be fine. You could just go up there and back in. All this is exactly representative of what it looked like. And there were some employees parked here. There was barely enough room in there to kind of turn around and turn that into a straight back. That was almost inconsiderate. Had they not got me unloaded in like 15 minutes, I mean, I was almost thinking I was going to have to drive down. I know a Prime driver's been there before because in the reviews, there's a Prime driver giving his review. But for them to park their trucks where they park them is disrespectful. And if you look at this little picture, it doesn't show the cars that are actually parked in those spots. So I was almost about to just back down the street about a half a mile, make a right, and then just make a big square, then make another right, and then back all the way up about a half mile just to back in there. And that would have been kind of a blind side, but that would have been, I almost didn't know what to do. Plus there was snow there, so that was cutting off about, a total of a foot, 6 inches on each side minimum. All right, 313. I can't wait for thunderstorm weather. The thunderstorms don't really get me. It's that them tornadoes and shit. That's what gets me. I mean, new guys, if you're out there and you start seeing that weather kick up like that, man, let your landing gear down and pull out from under your trailer. So if anything blows over, it's going to be that trailer, not your ass, with the trailer. All right, shit, we're going to make this a short one. I'm about to get back here and lay my ass down real quick. Give me a good 13 hours. I mean, like I said, I'm 6 miles away. Delivery 0600. Sargento cheese, one of the best places you could pick up at. We're going to be taking a different route out there. If you pick up here, and you don't really modify your routes all that much, you're going to take that regular route down, 94 and all that, and go through Chicago to Gary, Indiana, or not Gary. You're going to get on 65 and go south. No, fuck that. We're basically, I'm going to put Champaign, Illinois in as my via point. So I'm going to kind of go down that. I forget what the road is now. 47? I forget. I think it's 47. Going to take that straight down to Champaign, hit 74, come across. I'm going to miss all that traffic in and around Chicago. So, anyway, love driving at night, watching the lighting. I like driving at night, not because of the lighting, but yeah, like if it was at night, I'd probably go through Chicago and all that. But I've got hung up there. No, I like this new route. I just came out to Manuka using that route I was just talking about. Basically, I took 74 out of Indianapolis, took that down. I think it's 47. And then I took that straight up, and where it dumps you off at is Morris, Illinois. So right at that TA. So if you're going to keep driving straight, you would see the TA on your right and all that. So that's the road. All right. As a matter of fact, talking to different people, 412's up in here. All right, John Sheldon, thank you for the good vibes. I'll keep you updated on rolling the dice with the lease. 412, we were talking one day, and I was taking a load up to, I forget what, Connecticut or some shit, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take, because the route normally would have said take 95 all the way up, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take 81 up, and then I'm going to get on like 80, whatever it was. I was 78, whatever. I forget what it was. I was going to go through Allentown, and then I'm going to go up north. Now he's like, no, fuck that. Just stay on 81, get on 84. You're going to miss all that construction in Allentown. You're going to come in. Anyway, make a long story short. Just having contact with people helped me in that situation. Now, I've thought about that. I may have came to that conclusion, but I may not have. So talk to some people out here. All right. Anyway, I'm about to get off here. Come back here and get that good sleep. Like I said, deliver 0600 in the morning. Going to Florida for those of you guys that just came in. I am happy to get down into some shit that I could say. I will not be talking about how hot it is this summer. This is the second winter in a row that I said I will not complain about how hot it is this summer. John, just for fun, I once said to make a short story long. I hear that. About to hit this shower. Be safe. All right. Hey, I appreciate you guys stopping by. No Hippie Truck and Transportation. As always, a comment on your way out. Subscribe, and I'm out.